Welcome to Public Conscience. This is the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMORG. PRIMORG is a civil society group with a mandate to promote good governance, participation, and accountability in Nigeria. I am Adaobi Obiabomo with Chidozie Ogbonnaya.
Welcome to the program.
On Public Conscience on Radio, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of corruption stories reported by our partner media organizations and drawing citizens and government attention for democratic action against it. This program is supported by the MacArthur Foundation. And on today's program, we will continue to look at the spending of 275 million naira by Women Affairs and Social Development Ministry on non-existing Rehabilitation Institute for Persons with Disability and the effect of corruption on their well-being.
Last week on this program, we discussed an investigative report by the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, which revealed how consistent fraud, a lack of accountability, and transparency by the Rehabilitation Department of the Ministry adversely affected persons with disability in Nigeria.
Also on the program last week, the founder of the Albino Foundation, Jake Epele, lamented that the problems of persons with disability in Nigeria are further compounded by corruption, with some corrupt officials managing the Nigerian public service.
ICIR's finding shows that the National Rehabilitation Institute project came up 4 times in the budget between 2013 and 2018, with initial capital releases provided for it, while the ministry claimed that the construction of Rehabilitation Institute received no allocation. Data from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation shows otherwise.
The Department of Rehabilitation was moved from the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management at the inception of President Muhammadu Buhari's second term in 2019.
PRIMORG reached out to both the Federal Ministry of Human Affairs and Social Development and Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management to join us in the studio today, but up until now, we are yet to get their responses.
Just like Dozie said, we are yet to get the response of both the Ministry of Human Affairs and Social Development and that of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management. But in the studio, we have Peace Oriaku Ezekiel from the Center for Citizens with Disability. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
We also have Obinna Ekujeronye of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disability, JONAPID. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
Please follow us on our social media platforms at Official PRIMORG. PRIMORG is spelled PRIMORG. We're also streaming live on Facebook at Official PRIMORG. And you can watch our videos on PRIMORG TV, our YouTube channel.
PRIMORG TV is our YouTube channel. We want to encourage you to subscribe so that you can get reminders whenever we have a new post. And remember that this program is interactive as always. The WhatsApp number to send your message is 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-6167. You can begin to send your message now. Then back to the studio. Welcome once again, Peace and Obinna.
Thank you so much.
Peace, I would start with you.
Okay.
You are aware of the report that we are amplifying.
Yeah.
And what is your reaction to this report?
25 million Nigerians are not aware of this report, and they are not also aware that 275 million has been spent by Women Affairs. And I also like to commend Benga Ogundari for his apt knowledge.
Who is Benga Ogundari?
That's the journalist who brought this into limelight for us. This young man has really showed that persons with disability can also go forth and try to make ends meet in Nigeria. That's to say that we trained this young man on a corruption program. That is an FOI. And he also used that to also look into in-depth, that is investigatively, to get what 25 million Nigerians cannot be able to achieve. My take on this is very shocking, because Women Affairs is a body and a ministry that is meant to support, rehabilitate persons with disability in Nigeria. So for them to have spent over 275 million without any concrete record or any documents to show that this money was really spent, I think it is really out of place. And that is to show that corruption starts from our political and our economic development, from those who has the power. Thank you.
Given the report that we're amplifying, as a CSO, that's Center for Citizens with Disability, your mandate is to better the lives of people with disability. What would be your plan after, now that you're aware of this report? And it's good for us to know that the person who did this report was trained by your organization. What would you do going forward with respect to this particular report?
What our center is going to do is to also reach out to the Ministry of Women Affairs, and also the woman who is in charge, who her name has also been mentioned in this report, because we have a good rapport with the Ministry of Women Affairs, and the ministry has always been out to support all persons with disability. So we will not all take it all link and sync to say, oh, the journalist has done his own report. We also need to hear from the Ministry of Women Affairs if there are documents, if there are things that they need to show us, for us to say, okay, this is what you spend this money on. Can you also publish it and let the public know, so that your name will be cleared on the on the sheet? That is what we are going to do, because we have seen it from the investigative journalism. We are not going to take it and say, oh, this is what it is. The justice here is you hear from the other side. By the time we hear from Ministry of Women Affairs and from Mrs. Sonwunkwe too, then we can now reach our own conclusion on this.
So, Mina, people with disabilities feeling the impact of the government, do you think monies meant to better their lives get lost in the way?
Well, thank you so much for having me in this program. Before I go into that, the issue of corruption has eaten deep into the bone marrow of Nigerians, and more especially most of our leaders, who do not even want to see to the welfare of the poor masses in Nigeria. 25 to 27 million Nigerians are such a huge number that need not to be neglected. Then going down into what you have just said, persons with disability suffer a great deal of problem in the society, mostly because they are not being catered for. Whatever that is due to them most of the time doesn't get to them, and as a result, they suffer so much problem. I can remember that for the National Disability Act to be passed in Nigeria, it took up to 19 to 20 years. That is what is supposed to take a little time to have done in other countries. But it took us a long, long time. Suffering, demonstrating, writing, and all manner of things. And as a result, it's not supposed to be so. Persons with disability, I must tell you, are neglected in the nation, and it shouldn't be so.
According to the report, sometime in 2016, Jonah paid a courtesy visit to the then Minister of Women Affairs, where she promised that this institute would be set up. Did you go back to the ministry, Mr. Bina?
Yeah, I only heard that they were going to set up Braille Institute and whatever in the ministry, but I have never gone to know if it is being established or not. But I have not seen anybody saying, I'm going to this press, this place to do my work on Braille and on other matters. So for me, I don't know if it is being established or not.
Because from the report, it's stated clearly that monies were released. But when the journalist went to the site at Gwarimpa, there was nothing on ground to show for it.
Like my colleague Peace have just said, most of these things for now to me, it's still an allegation until it is otherwise proved. A chance will be given to the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Social Development, to come and say they are part of the story. It is when they cannot concretely, say that this is not true, then we begin to say maybe it is a true story. But for now, I think it's still an allegation. But all we need to do is to make sure that they will come and tell us their own side of the story and bring up facts and evidences so that we know that such monies are spent on such projects. And then we see the projects. But if they cannot, prove it and cannot show us the site and everything, then it becomes a fact.
Just to add to what you said, it's good to have a balanced story, which is why last week we sent out letters to both the Ministry of Women Affairs and Humanitarian Affairs also. And up until now, they're supposed to be in the studio with us, but they are not here.
And these stories, they are out there. The investigative report is on ICR's website.
On their web portal.
So it's out there. It's for them to come up and speak up. But going forward, in June, Jonah Pitt called for an urgent meeting of National Assembly to guide the presidency in the composition of Nigerian Persons with Disability Commission. I don't know. You're aware of that, sir?
Yes.
What will that commission address that the law has failed to address? Because you just told us that there's an act that took whole long time before it was passed.
Yes.
What would this commission address that the act has failed to address?
Yes, this bill has been passed as an act, and we have it now in our kitty. But the problem remains the implementation. And so if we have, as the commission is being set up now, because the president in August 24th instituted the governing body of this commission, I think the commission will do a lot of work in the implementation of these acts. Let's take, for instance, in the act, it is being said that existing buildings will have 5 years moratorium to make their houses or make their buildings accessible for persons with disability. If you go to most of these public buildings, even private buildings, most of them doesn't have ramps, no lifts, no parking lots for persons with disability, and all the rest of them. And so, if the commission now is being set fully, I think they will begin to, after the 5 years, they will begin to pursue and make sure that this act is implemented to the letter. Because in the act it states that, yes, if those who do not comply with this act will have a fine or go to prison or both. And so it is the commission that will go forth implementing this. And so that if it is on to maybe one bank, the other organization or the other one, when they see that this thing is now being implemented, is being enforced, then others will start running. And it also states that buildings that will come up from that 2018 or 2019 that this bill is in motion, that those buildings should do what? Have all the features that are accessible for persons with disability. We are yet to see that. And I know that as long as this commission is being set up fully, they will do all the implementation to the letter.
I like your optimism.
No, it's good because persons with disabilities, they have been neglected for quite some time.
Exactly.
We are canvassing for an inclusive government in all ramifications. So this commission would address a whole lot. But going forward, Peace, I would ask you this question.
Okay.
Your organization, you work with people with disability. What are the problems caused by corruption that PWDs are faced with?
Thank you so much. Corruption, first of all, started a very long time, and our government, like they said, this administration is fighting corruption, and we have really seen what they have really done, so to say. Persons with disability are facing a lot in terms of in education. We don't have an inclusive education, and this is all thanks to corruption. The government have already said they are going to be providing equipment, brailles, material, books for the blind in some schools. Okay, even if you go to
Did they provide those?
That has not been provided. Some blind students go to school with the intention that those things are in school, but the parents bear this cost. Then the if you ask Mr. Obina, the cost to buy a braille machine, it's not beans.
It's quite expensive.
It's quite expensive. The cost to buy it. So most of these students get books and go outside to do brailing. The only thing that even stylos, some provide in school and some the parents have to buy those things for them. And why these are the things that are supposed to be in schools. These are the schools that we call the so-called inclusive school, like where we have the farm craft. If you go to farm craft in Lagos, that is the federal school for the blind. Now, federal school for the blind admits 3 students every year in the whole 36 states. So how do you tell me?
Wait, let me get you. 3
Okay.
students every
3 students
year.
from each
3 students
state.
from each
From
state.
each
Three
state.
students from each state in the whole 36 states. So if my daughter, for instance, or my son who is blind, and I want him or her to go into farm crafts, I will have to wait for a whole year or a whole long time because I don't know if my daughter or my son will be picked. So it's a combat. So a lot of blind students are really suffering out there. Now you intend to now put them into the normal so to say school. Now we don't have educated teachers who have educations where to take care of persons with disability. You now get they now get treated in a way that persons with disability now feel out of place. That's why you see that most times persons with disability don't go to school.
Please,
Now,
sorry to take you back.
okay.
These schools we are talking about, the inclusive schools, how many of them can we get in a state?
Can I come in, please?
Okay.
In this issue, the inclusive schools, I don't know where they are. We hear them, but we have not seen them truly. But in Abuja, we have only one inclusive school I know, and that is Government Secondary School Kwali, where we have blind students there in the same school with other persons that are not disabled. But apart from that, it is very difficult to get schools that are inclusive. What we get is they go to build one special school for us somewhere. Maybe a school that be out of sketch where you will go. In fact, before you get to that very place,
Very, very
it will
far.
be, in fact, it will be a long journey. And so, if they throw into that
And
place,
there's no
you are-
provision for transportation.
no provision.
No provision. You're on your own.
If they just take it down there, then you're on your own. And so, which is very, very bad. They don't seem to look at persons with disability as persons first. Remember that we're human beings first. All of us are human beings.
Yes.
Before we begin to talk of disability. And that is why we call persons with disability, not disability persons. No. We're talking of persons. You are a person, I'm a person. And the issue remains that we are not being catered for. We are not looked out for. In the school she's talking about, she's even talking it in a lighter mood. For a blind person to go to school is not easy. I know what I suffered when I went to school. She's talking of a braille machine. Braille machine can just do a little for you. But we need braille embossers. Where do we see them? Even in schools, we don't have braille embossers. A lot of things that we don't have. Look at the assistive aids that we're talking about. A laptop computer. Yes, a laptop computer. But for me to use a laptop computer, I have to do what? Fix in a software that speaks for me.
That speaks.
And that we call it JOS, and it's $1,000. It is what you can look at what dollars is at for 400 and something, 450 or 460. And that is why I have to buy 4,000 for how much? 400 and something thousand to install it on my system. But the government has never in any way helped out persons with disability. Is this only education we're talking about?
What are the other problems?
We'll talk
caused
about
by
employment.
corruption?
Persons with disability. That is how we move from Federal Civil Service Commission to what they call it, head of service, to different places, and there is no work for us. And that is why you see from time to time there is demonstration, there's blocking of gates to make sure that we get some little employment. The Act says now that any employment that will be declared, that persons with disability will get 5%, at least 5%. But where is it? If you ask all the organizations or institutions that are employing, they'll tell you they're not employing, they're doing replacement. Then why don't you give us 5% of that in replacement too? We have not seen organizations, institutions declaring vacancy for a very long time.
Are you saying for sure that persons living with disability have not, since the act was passed, have not experienced any change of any sort.
That's why we need the commission to be in place. If we have that commission, this commission will help to fight, will help to put in places those things that we need to put in place. Now, take for example, when a person with disability, you call for job employment and they come, they pass. I have seen lot of reports. They come to our center to report, I passed this so interview, but because I have been called to be present for them to do a face-to-face assessment, and they see that I'm a person with disability, maybe I'm using crutches or I'm using my wheelchair or I need assistance in one thing or the other, or they'll tell me, oh, we are sorry, we cannot employ you, it's not because you bought them this and that. They start giving you different excuses, different issues, and that is already discrimination, because you already discriminate me not on my intelligence and not based that I didn't get this far, but because of my disability. And that is why we need that commission to be in place. With the commission, a whole lot of things is going to be taken care of, and a lot of Nigerians do not really know where to go to or where to cry to, because if you cry to police would still be extorting you, and that is the corruption we are talking about. And when you go to the ministry, before you will get to ministry, those who are on wheelchair, how do you intend that they get to the ministry that is on the 5th floor, 6th floor, and you're asking them to come to my office? And we are looking at the health sector. Look at our health sectors today. Even the normals that we claim the normal human being do not even get a good medical attention. Now, not to talk of person with disability. When a deaf person go into the hospital, in fact, a person with disability spends more than any other person, because a person with disability will have to go with his deaf or her deaf aid. We also go with a driver and go with an aid. Now, these people, she's not going to be giving them thank you all the time. Now you can look at Mr. Obinna. He didn't come by himself. He had to come with a guide, someone who will help him, because if he doesn't, now he's going to enter motor. Maybe he's giving the taxi guy 500. The guy will say, no, you gave me 200 naira, and before you know it, that is also corruption, and he has been extorted because he doesn't know what he's going to be doing. But with that guide now, he's not coming alone. He's going to pay for himself. He will also pay for the guide who is coming with him, and that is extra expenses. But I'm coming alone. I'm not paying extra. Now, when the next person, with the deaf person who is going to health sector, I'm coming with my deaf guide. Now my privacy has been invaded. I want to speak something with the doctor, and I wanted you to know something, but now I have an aide who is going to be interpreting. Maybe may not even tell you exactly, maybe want to be changing it, not telling you exactly how I feel. So my privacy is already invaded, and I do not want that to also be there. But the government has failed. We have been clamoring for deaf sign language interpreters in all health sectors. It is only Lagos State, I would say, have really gone a step further to do something like that. Now, this is where corruption comes in. What does it take to train? Because we have a lot of sign language interpreters. What does it take to train them? What does it take to have like this 2 person in each hospital? What?
Have you pushed for these trainings?
We have ALD, we have Deaf Women Association, we have, even our center have pushed for a whole lot. It is just gradually, because we can't do them all. And that is why if this commission comes in place, a whole lot is going to change. And that is if we have strong bodies who will be speaking for persons with disability and not being selfish on their own.
So what's the latest with this commission? Because yes, you have engaged the government, you have started the conversation. Where are we?
Yeah, the government for now have instituted the governing body of the commission. We have Mr. James Lalu as the executive secretary and Dr. Hussein as the chairman of the board. And so we are waiting for the National Assembly to confirm them. And I'm using this opportunity to talk to the National Assembly. Please, on the 24th of August was the day that the President of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, gave us this body, the names of this governing body of this commission. And please, we are asking you, please hasten up. Let us confirm them, and so that we now know that these people have been confirmed, and they will start work in earnest. They will have a lot of work to do for persons with disability. I know they will not do it alone, but let them be confirmed first, and then let them hit the ground running, and so that other things will follow. They will have a lot of work to do for persons with disability, because I'm telling you that persons with disability are not finding it easy in this country.
Now, let me ask you this one. Will the setting up of this commission stop the kind of corruption you've already told us about, and the challenges you face?
Yeah, with this commission, at least, this corruption started a long time ago, and it's not something we can say it will stop immediately. At least, gradually, it will begin to reduce. The work, I know when the commission is being set, I know Mr. Alalu is a man of integrity. He wouldn't want to do like others have been doing. I know he will take it up with the board to make sure that this corruption reduces, even on the part of persons with disability.
Thank you so much, Mr. Obinna, for that. From what you just said, that the setting up of the commission would help to provide the facilities needed for persons with disabilities. It's time for us to get our listener to contribute to the conversation. We've been speaking with Peace Oriako Ezekiel of Center for Citizens with Disability and Mr. Obinna of Jonapid. We've been looking at Women Affairs Ministry, how they spent 275 million naira on non-existing rehabilitation institute for persons with disability, as well as the challenges caused by corruption or the effects of corruption on persons with disabilities. You can send us a text message 0902 265 6167 0902 265 6167. Hello.
Yeah, my name is Barry. I'm coming from Abuja.
Okay, I'm sure you've been listening to us. What is your contribution?
Yes, the woman in the studio, that's the guest you had in the studio, she has really spoken well. And I would want the government to also look into that plight. As I'm speaking with you now, I have about 2 people with disability in my establishment. And they're doing very well.
That's good.
Hello?
We can hear you. That's commendable.
So they're doing very well. Technical workers working on machines and everything. Yes, they have issues with their legs, but the hands are working and their brain is still working. So government should look into this plan. At least, like she mentioned, if it's just 2 in every establishment or 1 in every establishment in Nigeria, I think we'll do a lot of things for them. Instead of seeing them on the street and start giving their arms, I know someone who's on wheelchair, who had gone to school, graduated, and then served this country. And a computer guru, for everywhere he applies, people don't want to take him to work, people don't want to employ him. Is he not employable? He's employable. For you to take that time, go to school, served, a computer engineer, Nigeria should look into their plight, I beg. And then the government needs to sit up and see how they can rescue this situation. I'll continue giving them teach them how to fish themselves, and they will do enough more for us in the society.
Thank you so much.
To add to what the first caller said, I'm telling you, our people suffer a lot injustice in employment. Let me tell you, for instance, since 2016, I've been looking out for jobs here and there, and up till now, no way. You go to head of service, they say there's no waiver, or they give you a waiver. You go to Federal Civil Service Commission, they'll tell you we don't have vacancy yet, and all that. This is the story. And this is somebody who has masters in education, administration, and planning, and nothing up till after how many years? So this is a simple one. There are some people who have
in education,
administration, and planning.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the small one. Some people have been looking for jobs since 2012, 2010, and up till today. Before you know it now, they tell you the age has passed and all the rest of it.
Exactly.
They don't even care.
With regards to corruption, what would you want the government to do?
Yeah. I want the government to really look into these corruption issues. I think the government says they are fighting corruption, but I'm thinking that they're not doing their best. I don't know whether it's a lip service or they truly mean it. But what the government should do, at least all these people who have been seen, that have been, EFCC have been arresting, taking to court and all the rest of them, let us see somebody who have stolen 1 million naira jailed for 10, 20, 30 years. And then that will be a deterrent to others. It is not somebody that, stole 100 million, 200 million, 1 billion, 10 billion, and you say you are still in court for 5, 6, 7 years. And even when they go to court, when they are being detained, within a short time they are not there. But you see somebody who stole a goat or 1 or 2 cups of gari, that person will go to jail for 5, 10 years. It is not appropriate. Let them do something, imprison people, and then it will serve as deterrent to others, and others will fear.
Imprisonment.
Yes.
Jail term for corrupt government officials.
Good. That is what personally, that's what I'm advocating for. And I know a lot of people who advocate for it. Because if you leave them to go that way, the way they have been going, I'm telling you, the corruption still increases day by day.
For those of you listening to us, we would want you to contribute to the conversation. How do you want government to stop people from stealing monies meant for persons with disabilities? They've enumerated their challenges in the health sector, in employment. There are a whole lot of challenges. So how would you want the government officials to stop people from stealing money? Or how would the government stop stealing money meant for persons with disabilities?
Let me add my voice to what Mr. Obina just said. If you look at the report, and if you look at the report from the 275 million that was used or that was stolen, you would understand that this has been a concurrent issue. In 2016, there was a budget set aside for persons with disability for a certain issue. 2017, same thing. 2018, 2019, and 2020. This budget has been set aside, but they were not being used. That is to say, I bring a budget that says I want to build an institution. I want to build an institute. Every year, I keep bringing the same budget, and now you're giving me the same different value for the same project I want to build on different value. Is it that we don't have offices that checks and balances all project execution? If the Ministry of Women Affairs are saying that they have an institute or they're building an institute in Gwarimpa, and up till now there is no location for that institute, up till now there is no particular building that says this is where this institute is it that the government does not have a body to check, to look at what you say you are going to do in 2016, have you done it?
Monitoring and evaluation.
Yes. Have you done this? Have you looked at it? Where are you? Every year I keep bringing budgets. Now this is corruption, because you are not really using that money for what you say you're going. You're only enriching yourself, and you're enriching your own family. Now what we intend to do, or what the government's supposed to do, is to release funds that are supposed to be used for projects and make sure that this project is being executed. Once the project is executed, before another fund will be released. If that project is not executed, I don't see why government should release more funds. Then send in external evaluators to go in and evaluate what these people are doing, and not within the same ministry where they are working with. Because if you send someone who is in the same ministry, I'm working with you, you can give me a tip and I'll just say yes, you have done it, check, and that's it.
Still on that line of thought, please, I want to quickly ask you something, because we are talking about corruption here, and we've seen clearly the enormities and dangers of corruption in our society. So given this report and several other ills and wrongdoings by public officials through their corrupt act, what will CCD and Jonapid, I will come back to Mr. Obina later, do because we need to maintain this momentum. We need to keep this talk going. We need to expunge corruption from our system. What will your organization be doing against it?
Okay, thank you so much. Even before now, we have been doing so much on corruption. We had a project strengthening citizens' resistance against prevalence of corruption, which we run for 5 years. That is the Scrap C project. Is an Upright for Nigeria campaign. We had this in 5 states: Akwa Ibom, Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, and in Abuja too. So this project helped us to build the capacity of persons with disability in resisting corruption. It also helped us to build the capacity of MDAs, government agencies on corruption, to build their capacity on how to report corruption. And that is what we are doing, because we see that corruption is something that cannot go out in a day, or not even in years to come. That the administrative is saying that they are fighting corruption. I do not see any corruption that we are fighting. Look at the economic system today. Look at the fuel system. Look at the tariff, the electricity tariff. Is it corruption that they are fighting, or they are trying to enrich themselves? Okay, what our center has been doing is to build capacities of persons with disability. One, in writing FOI reports. That is to say, when a certain budget has been released for in any state, the JONAPID in that particular state should go further to ask the ministry in that particular state, this amount that has been released, what have you done with this money? Can you give us transparency? Can you give us the accounts? There be accountability. Can you give us this, what you said you are going to do? Have you done it? We have built capacities of PWD to that extent, which they are all already doing.
Are they asking questions? Have they started sending FOIs? They've
been sending FOI for a long time. It's as a result of that we are having this investigative journalism done by Benga Ogundari. It's as a result of our FOI intensive training that we had in Lagos that made him because if you read it, you see where he said they wrote an FOI to the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. Yeah. And he also called to let me know that he is still following up with these people. So this is what we are doing at the center. Go ask the government, what are you doing? What are you doing for us? You are going to do this, where is it? Now you don't ask that with lip service. You go in with a document that is stating this is what we are asking for. With a document, it is easy for you to get answers.
Hello. Your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, my name is Ruban.
Let's hear you.
Okay, as the topic is going on, for me, I don't know, but when we are saying this truth, when you look at from the bottom of the line, from our local government, from the local government chairman, then we give chairman something to do for masses. The next thing, he would have. I have evidence for one complaint like this. They give chairman money to do a bridge for us. We now connect the money. There's nothing like bridge. So if government wants to do the real work, you need to follow up whatever they are doing. I know government is trying, but it's those people under him. I don't know whether government will follow and take and you people, please let's see what is that for.
Thank you so much. Please conclude what you're saying.
Okay, just to conclude, from us, we have been doing a lot and will continue to do a whole lot. It's coming from persons with disability, trying to get to know their rights, and also following up with the administrations in their particular state. And we're also working with every agency, that is the ICPC, the EFCC, because when these complaints come to us, we also do refer them to the appropriate agencies, because we do not have that capacity to enforce law on the government. These are the only agencies that can do this.
Okay, let's take this last call. Hello, your name and where you're calling from?
Alexander somewhere in Doka.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay. On the way that government can reduce corruption on those that their time to resolve to the officials. Most those that are leading those boards are people that from different backgrounds. Different backgrounds in the sense that those that present there are their both in the high places. And if you say you are fighting them, they are well connected. So it is when they give a position to who is material to that position, that's where the citizenship will come to play. Otherwise, we cannot to see today the model will take different.
Thank you so much. That's employment based on merit and not on godfatherism.
Yeah.
Let's get to Mr. Obin now on his own intervention concerning what from where peace left off. But I will also want you to add your charge for the President Muhammadu Buhari led government on the plight of PWDs occasioned by corruption in Nigeria.
Okay, I must start with the PWDs ourselves. You know that most of the times you wash the front, you wash the back. For persons with disability, I want to charge you. If you see something, say something. Don't be idle and watch it. If you see anything that is like corruption, either in your work, in your place of work, or in what you're doing, please report to the appropriate quarters. If there's no way to report, we have some NGOs that are working for us, like DCCD, DRAC, and some other organizations, Seraph, they are all there. Please report. Tell them this is what I've seen. As long as you have the concrete evidence, report. And I know they will not keep quiet. They will take it up from there. And then, on the part of the government, President Muhammadu Buhari, I thank you for giving us this act. And then I thank you for setting up the governing board of this commission. But there is still much to be done. The corruption is so much. We don't enjoy the dividend of the democracy. I'm talking of persons with disability now. Please, my dear President, I know that you have the persons with disability in heart, but you have to go a step further in making sure that we get whatever belongs to us. If contracts are given out, if ministries are charged to do a work for persons with disability, please make sure that you set up a supervising body that will make sure that whatever that has been said is done as it is said. The National Assembly too, you do oversight functions. Please let your oversight let it not be a lip service work. Do these oversight functions. If they say they are putting this money for this and that, make sure it is being implemented. And then if things go this way, I think the corruption will begin to reduce. Remember, none of us is going with money. We have a little time to stay here. All the money you pack, I don't know where you are going with them. Remember, there are some people who have packed all this money, who even the foreign countries are returning this money up till today. They didn't go with money. You will not be the very person to go with money. Right. Please remember persons with disability. They are suffering, and then put this in place to make sure that their plight, their problems are alleviated. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. For the caller from Massacre, I want to encourage you to send us a text message so that we can follow up with your complaint. 0902 265 6167. 0902 265 6167. Dozier, our time is up.
Yes, we'll continue this conversation. We must keep talking till we get to our El Dorado. Please visit the news page of our website, news.primorg.org. That is news.primorg.org. For all the details of our reports and interviews, visit our website, primorg.org, to get all the information about Primorg.
We sincerely appreciate our guests from CCD, Center for Citizens with Disability, Peace Oriako Ezekiel.
Thank you so much.
And we also appreciate Obinna Ekujeronye from Jonapid. Thank you so much for being a part of today's episode.
Thank you so much, Adobe.
Public Conscience is supported by the John T. and Catherine D. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, vibrant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation at its website, macfound.org. primemoc.org.
Join us again here next week for another episode of Public Conscience. And remember to follow us on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Official Primemoc. I am Chidozie Obunnaya.
Official Primemoc is our social media handle. Together, we would expunge corruption from our society. I am Adaobi Obiavumo. Stay safe.